The law classroom has always been a place where I really want to encourage tension. I always want them to disagree with each other. But in order for that to really work and really channel that, you need to give the students the tools to be able to articulate their perspective and to rebut their opponent's perspective. So, and we were talking about I don't know. I always follow I don't know up with let's look it up. Let's try to figure it out. Let's find out together, and that helps them create a truth for themselves, so that they can build whatever knowledge base that they would like, and then choose from that, pick their perspective from that, and then be able to articulate it again, especially faced with an opponent, because that often happens in the law classroom. We have they're always kind of in opposition to one another. It's a natural setup of the subject area, but they if you don't give them enough tools, then they're just kind of stuck at saying, oh, well, I disagree, or I don't like that opinion. But if they're unable to go any further, then you haven't done a good job of helping them figure out why they disagree, and that process gives them the tools in their whole lives to be able to construct meaning as new situations come up, and to form ideas and opinions about new issues as they arise.
It's funny because the three of you are English teachers, you're a law teacher. And so from my perspective, when I first started doing the I Think kind of sessions, I found it really, really, really hard. I struggled trying to even find tension in my classroom as a science teacher. And so, I've talked before about the fact that it's really easy to find tensions in science in terms of the STSE connections, or the science, technology, environment, and society connections. But we don't necessarily always have time to focus on that. And time is a huge issue, which I think we should maybe talk about at some point too. But for me, what I realized, the tension in science isn't the same as the tension maybe in English or in law. And for me, what it was realizing when you do authentic science and you actually go through the observations and come to a conclusion, it might not be the conclusion that you expected or suspected would be true. That is to say, it might be that what you find isn't the same as what you hypothesized. And then when you start to kind of think about why that is, two things happen. Either you have to actually look at the tension that is created between what you thought would be true and what is true, or what you need to do is you have to go back and you have to do the experiment again, because maybe you made an error when you did the mistake, or maybe you made an error when you did the experiment. There's some sort of scientific error that is there which requires you to go back and repeat the experiment, which is part of what authentic science and critical thinking is all about. So it was hard for me in the beginning to actually kind of find tension in science.
That's another shift, I think, philosophically in classroom, is helping students get excited about clashes in ideas or different extremes of ideas, and talking about how we can use that to produce something innovative and new.
As teachers, being experts in our field, we miss the tension because we're so used to being embroiled in it that we don't see that that's actually an opportunity for us to talk to our class and our students.
And a big part of problem solving is being able to see where the problem is, and to be able to, like you said, to maybe go back to the process and see and retrace your steps. I mean, students often struggle with that. When something goes wrong in their work, or whatever direction they're going in, they struggle with going back through their steps because they don't always see the process. But a lot of the tools that we're dealing with really make clear and explicit what are the steps, how did you get from that point to that point, whether it's the causal model or whether it's the ladder of inference, where they're sort of getting more and more practice with understanding the steps that they took to get to any given point. And it allows them, when they understand the steps, to go back and evaluate those steps and say, did I miss something here, or is there something missing in this chain of cause and effect that we need to add? And they become much more confident articulating that process and talking about their thinking, making their thinking explicit using those tools.
The really good thing about this is that you know, obviously, hopefully, we're giving students a tool that they can use going forward in post-secondary and in their everyday lives.